Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. The MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zaki and Brian are talking about movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to MovieFilm. This is episode 106, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. My name is Zaki Hassan, and joining me once again is my good friend Brian Hall.
Hey, what's up, Zaki?
What is going on?
I'll tell you what's going on. The Cubs are going on. Chicago Cubs.
Yes, so there was some kind of So we are recording this conversation at 10 p.m. November 3rd, and the reason that's important to mark is because it's one day after the historic, some kind of sporting event happened, in keeping with my reputation as a non-sports watching nerd. I basically I learned about the Cubs breaking their 108-year losing streak on Facebook.
Oh yeah, you were aware that they were playing though, right?
I was aware.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy because I'm not going to pretend like I'm the hugest baseball fan in the world. We both grew up in the northwest suburbs of Chicago,
the Chicagoland area,
and I mean, it was just impossible. My brother and I talk about this now living in Los Angeles, where out here we feel a little isolated from sports in a way. But like growing up in Chicago is a sports town. So it's like whether or not you truly are obsessed or not, you are immersed, right? Like you know what's going on and it's easy to follow just because the town follows it. And it's, I went to Cubs games growing up. I watched them on WGN. And then it moved out to Los Angeles and it got a little kind of removed from it and it just sort of poked my head in every now and then. But man, it was hard not to be reinvigorated this season. I mean, they were doing so well the entire season and then just that was an incredible series. And to come down to Game 7 and to eventually have it tied up at one point, it was just out of control. And then a rain delay when everything was just really getting tight and it was a game unlike any other. It was
like it couldn't have been scripted better.
I actually literally said that to my parents today. I was like, you couldn't have scripted that thing more thrilling. I'm still coming down from it, to be honest. So it was a lot of fun.
Well, this is, of course, like I said, it is November 3rd. So we are just a few days away from the election happening also.
Oh, yeah, that thing.
So it might just be a situation that we saw heaven before we see hell.
Right.
So kind of crazy, but you just got out of Doctor Strange.
I did. This is one of those. This only happens every now and then where I literally walk out of something and then step into this. And I wasn't sure if I would like doing that or not because I'm the type of person where I need a minute to digest.
Yeah, usually when we talk to you after you've had 3 days to pull your thoughts together, it still sounds like you're pulling your thoughts together.
It's true.
At that moment.
It's very true. I'm the type of guy that writes a sentence and then I rewrite every sentence I write. I have to get it out and I think about it and then I get to what I really meant. So I was wondering how this would go tonight, but actually I went with my brother. We just walked out of it, less than an hour ago. And we talked about it quite a bit as I was driving him back to his place. And I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on my take on the
So by the time we talk about Doctor Strange in a few minutes, you'll be well versed. You'll be good to go.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to rock.
You'll have mastered the mystic arts by then.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool because I know you already have your review up, but I haven't read it yet. I don't even know if you like it or not.
Oh, well, I guess we'll find out in just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen anything else lately?
Yeah, I watched, speaking of elections and political stuff, I watched this documentary called Weiner that you talked about not so long ago.
Yep. Love Weiner. Let me rephrase that.
And you know what? I love Weiner too. Not
we
the
both
man,
love
the
Weiner,
documentary. But it's a documentary about New York Congressman Anthony Weiner and how he was disgraced after he accidentally tweeted a picture of his wiener.
Yes.
Funny enough, out and completely by accident. It ends up he had been sexting people online and it just completely disrupted his whole political ambitions. But then years later, he decided he was going to try to run for mayor of New York. And he had a camera crew following him around to document his return to glory. And lo and behold, during the middle of this whole effort, another leak well, not a leak, but another person came out and said that he had been sexting them. And it could have come from the same time period. We don't know, but it just came at the exact moment to derail his mayoral ambitions.
it was in between.
Oh, that's right.
It was during the time that he said he had stopped.
That was his thing, where he was trying to say that there could still be more things coming out.
Yeah.
But anyway,
more Weiner leaks, if you will.
Wiener leaks. That's what I'm going to call taking a pee at work. Now I'm just going to be like, I got to go take a wiener leak.
Take a Weiner leak.
They're like, Brian, for the love, just stop.
Stop doing that.
Just get up and go. Anyway, this was a documentary I had heard really good things about from you, and I'd heard from other people. And I was sort of going into this like, I've heard it's good. I hope it's good. I don't know if it's going to live up to it. Totally does.
Right?
Totally does. Highly recommend this. This is like, and it's funny too, aside from moments with his wife, Huma, who is, impossible not to just feel horrible for this woman.
You just want to give her a hug.
Oh my goodness. I mean, she is obviously, like, her world is falling apart in real life, and then there's a camera in her kitchen.
Yeah.
As she's trying to process these things that are happening to her family. And I was just going to say that for such an awkward story, real life story, it didn't feel uncomfortably cringy. It just felt more fascinating to me. But it is hard not to feel terrible for Huma, his wife.
Yeah, and I mean,
a little invasive occasionally too.
It's just you look at the pathology at work here, because she's successful and accomplished and connected and beautiful. I mean, by any measure,
yes,
he had won.
Yes, absolutely. He's an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I wonder if it's the effect of his name. This is my theory.
What's that?
Well, his name is Weiner, right? So it's like he has to, it's kind of like in the comics you have Dr. Doom, right? And his name is Victor Von Doom.
Right.
So you're kind of like, well, his name is, he's not going to be like, hi, I'm Dr. Doom, your pediatrician. It's like he has to become a world-conquering supervillain.
Right.
So maybe this was just inevitable. Anthony Weiner, his downfall involved his wiener.
Yeah, well, if we find out that I was like, if it's like a stranger than fiction situation where he is aware that he is a character in a story and someone's writing for him, then that is possible. I don't know. But it's this isn't the main event of our show here. I was going to keep talking about it, but I would just say I recommend it. And I think for people, it's just really interesting to watch a documentary that was clearly set up to be a positive, uplifting thing for a person. And then this monkey wrench shoots it all to hell. Self-inflicted. But I mean, you have him running for mayor and you have all these people working in his offices. And they're like, yeah, you know what? People screw up. All right, we believe in this guy, and we're willing to put our necks out there because we think he's got a plan and a vision, and we support it. And then to have this happen and have to watch those people 45 minutes later into the film face this.
Right. And
it's just fascinating. So I definitely recommend it.
And just as a tangential thing, I mean, because the film came out earlier this year, since then he was caught actually sexting with an underage girl.
Yes.
And here's the sort of interesting thing about this is the FBI investigation into that unearthed supposedly some new emails connected to Hillary Clinton, and then that sort of threw the election out of whack last week.
Yeah.
And I remember saying, I'm like, man, if the history of this election is written and it's Anthony Weiner's wiener got Donald Trump elected.
I didn't think of it that way. Yeah. Well, it is truly the star of his story.
But it's a fascinating. I've shared that film with my classes because I think just as a window into the intersection of media and politics and society and just all the ways they overlap and interplay with each other. I mean, it's almost like a document of our time.
Yeah, it's a very 21st century story.
It is.
Yeah. I didn't have this written down, but I just want to throw out there also, I saw Jessica Jones, the Marvel series on Netflix.
Oh, you watched the whole series?
Went through the whole thing.
Wow.
And you've seen it, I assume.
I've actually not. I've only seen the pilot.
Okay, so I tried watching Daredevil, and I think I had a lot on my plate at the time, and it wasn't enough to make me make the time for it, and I kind of fell off. I watched the first episode of Luke Cage and thought, again, it was like, okay, like I get it, but I don't know that this is for me. And then Jessica Jones, I ended up watching Jessica Jones, and I went through the whole thing. Wow. I was really into this one.
I'm amazed that even being apathetic to the other two, you were still willing to give this one a go.
Yeah, well, I had a significant other nudging me. Let's put it that way.
Gotcha.
And so I was like, all right, let's give this a shot. And I was not let down. It's very dark, and I find I go through waves with dark material. Sometimes I'm just totally into it, and I can track with it, and sometimes it just becomes overwhelming, and I can't enjoy the entertainment value when something's too dark. And I think this one treads a fine line of being noirish.
Sure.
And going a little heavy, a little dark at times, but it's still compelling enough, and the story and the characters are sketched out enough that it doesn't feel like dark for dark's sake. Like it's trying to tell a story that takes place in the darkness, in the shadows. And I thought Kristen Ritter was really great as Jessica Jones. Sometimes, when you take an actress that's pretty small, pretty skinny, and you see them like beating up people twice their size, you just kind of can't buy it. But I thought they did a really good job of selling her abilities and what she's able to do. And David Tennant, I think what really helps, and people complain about this a lot with Marvel and just superheroes in general, but is the lack of a strong villain. And David Tennant of Doctor Who fame plays Kilgrave, the main villain in this, and he is such an interesting villain. Yeah. And I think that really, you have an interesting hero and an interesting villain, and it really is what keeps you going through this whole thing.
Well, I think, and we'll probably talk about this later, but I mean, I think that this is one area where the TV show, these Netflix shows rather, have it over the movies, is that they're able to construct very, very complex and engrossing villains.
Yeah, and with that in mind, and why I say that is because, they have the time to do it, right? They have the extra hours. But also, I think this was 13 episodes, and I would have been fine if it was 10.
Okay.
And that's not necessarily a knock against the show, but I feel like toward the end, I was ready. I felt like it was barreling toward a conclusion, and then I realized there was like 3 or 4 episodes left, and I would have been okay if it had just headed toward that conclusion, I think. Mm-hmm. But then that's what's so funny about TV these days is it's like it used to be everything was either 22, 24 episodes, but now it's like, I don't know, like Stranger Things was 8 episodes, Game of Thrones I think is 10. These shows are 13. Like they're all over the place, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. I mean, I don't know how that works if they can choose. They map it out and they just tell Netflix what they want. I'm not sure how that works, but it's kind of cool that shows have the freedom to tell the length of story that they need. Like I think we talked about, I can't remember if you watched the latest season of 24. I feel like you didn't.
I did not.
But it went from 24 episodes to 12, and it was all the better for it.
Sure.
So anyway, wanted to throw that out there.
Well, and I mean, given that you did kind of give up on Daredevil, I'd like to recommend you try giving it another go. If nothing else, just because Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin is such an interesting villain to really get to track him through that series.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. I got to see a couple things as well. And first of my watches is Inferno. And this is the third Robert Langdon, Dan Brown novel adaptation starring Tom Hanks, directed by Ron Howard. And you didn't see this, right?
I did not.
Don't worry, you're part of the great majority of this country.
All right.
I, on the other hand, enjoyed it, which makes me part of the great minority in this country. Now, this is kind of interesting because this is the third in the Da Vinci Code series, and the Da Vinci Code opened to something like $77 million 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. It made something like $700 million worldwide. Massive, massive hit. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, this thing opens to $15 million in 3 days.
Yeah.
And so it's basically DOA.
Well, I personally, the reason we're recording the night we are and talking about the movie we are is because I didn't want to see Inferno.
Yeah. That's what it comes
Zaki was trying to get me to go, and I just couldn't bring myself. I just didn't care. And I felt like I mean, I'll always make time to watch a movie for this show. But
except for Inferno. And
well,
why?
I was going to say...
because Brian has a secret hidden history of hating Ron Howard. For very personal reasons.
Very much not the case. But I just felt like I knew this wasn't going to be worth my time.
Sure.
And I don't know that because I haven't seen it. But I wasn't surprised by it underperforming.
Well, and it's weird because I watched it, and just to be very clear, I said this at the time, I was like, it's the best of the three. That wasn't me saying, hey, it's it's The Godfather, I meant it's the best of three sort of decreasingly mediocre movies is what I would say, but all of which are sort of huddled together, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't say much about them because I've only fallen asleep through the first one.
Yeah.
That's my only experience with this series.
My Da Vinci Code nap is one of the best experiences I've had in a theater. So
yeah, but but you're saying it's not a bad.
I mean,
what, like Redbox or something?
Yeah, it's like I feel like I have to couch this because I'm getting kicked in the balls over my very slight recommendation, which is literally, it's like if you're out at the theater and there's you don't want to there's nothing else really out.
All the other theaters have burned down but one, playing Inferno. Oh, no pun intended.
If you're in the theater a week ago and Doctor Strange is not out and you're looking for something to see.
That isn't one of the better movies than Inferno that's currently playing. Then go see Inferno.
I mean, it's
I just enjoy picking on it because I have no leg to stand on with it. I have no idea what it is.
For me, it's like I like Tom Hanks, and I think it's a fun character to the extent that Tom Hanks is fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like you check in for a couple hours and then you forget about it. I mean, I
totally.
Robert Langdon, the character, starts the movie with amnesia. I ended the movie with amnesia because I couldn't tell you what it's about now.
Right. How's Felicity Jones? A little preview of Rogue One coming up.
She's pretty. That's all.
Copy that.
She's not a love interest for him, which I appreciated because he's old enough to be like her grandfather, I think.
Sure.
But it's what I compared it to is like the Chris Pine Jack Ryan movie from a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Where it's like total in one eyeball, out the other.
Got it. Because I didn't dislike the Jack Ryan movie, even though it seems like everyone else did.
I didn't, right? But I'm like, but it's not. You're not like, ooh, let's watch Shadow Recruit, right?
right.
You know
or
what I mean?
in a way, it feels like it's the. Remember those Ashley Judd, Morgan Freeman movies?
Yes.
I would probably never go to a theater to watch those, but if it came on TNT, I bet I would start it and finish it and go, well, that was a nice little yarn.
The Alex Cross series, you mean?
Yeah. So I wonder if it's
the Tyler
to
Perry starring reboot, though. That's, I mean, any time is a good time for that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, remember that? Anywho, speaking of Tyler Perry's Medea Halloween beat...
Which is our main event this episode.
That's the spoiler wall. You're welcome, audience. That beat Tom Cruise's Jack Reacher in its first weekend, and it beat Tom Hanks's Inferno in its second weekend. So, I don't know what that says, but I think society is heading to a conclusion very soon. I think that's what that means.
Well, he's got his thing, right? He nailed it down, and he keeps delivering on it. So, I mean, I gotta applaud him.
I really don't. To me,
I saw Dumb and Dumber 2 in a theater, so who am I to judge?
To me, it's like he looks at he took Larry Johnson's grandmama character, remember from the 90s?
Oh yeah.
He's like,
You're right.
But anyway, another movie that I saw, which is out right now as you're listening to this, is Loving. Mm-hmm. And this is the new film directed by Jeff Nichols, who did Midnight Special earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
And this stars Joel Edgerton and Ruth Negga, and it's a true story based on the 1967 Supreme Court case Loving v. Virginia. Now, this is, I don't know if you've heard about this movie.
I have, yes.
For those of you in the audience who haven't, I mean, it's about the Supreme Court case that essentially struck down laws against interracial marriage. And it's crazy to think that as recently as 1967, which is basically, Brian, about 10 years before you and I were born, give or take.
Ish, yeah. I mean, crazy.
Relatively close to when we were born. It was illegal in parts of this country to marry somebody of a different color. It just blows your mind, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
This is a true story. And it is, in my opinion, I mean, one of the best movies of the year. I think it's
really.
I think it's. There's. I'm such a fan of Jeff Nichols. First of all, I think he's just so thoughtful. And even when, like Midnight Special was a film that I was hot and cold on, but I couldn't help but appreciate what he was attempting to do with it.
That's where I feel like I am with him. I appreciate him more than I have a complete enjoyment of what he's doing.
Yes.
And so it's funny, even in the trailer for this, I think it looks like a really compelling story, but I was worried it would still have that I'm just reaching for my enjoyment. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. And I think I'm actually very curious what your reaction to this will be.
Yeah, I'd really like to see it.
Because you'll either love it or you're racist. I don't know yet. I guess we'll find out.
That's the bar.
No.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. But I think it's an important film, and I mean I like to consider myself as being relatively informed and knowledgeable, and to be honest, I knew nothing about this story.
I don't.
I didn't
even know it was based on a true story.
I didn't know why it was called Loving. I was like, oh, that's a pretentious title, and it turns out it's the person's name. It's Richard Loving. So I'm like, well, I'm an asshole then.
Right.
But yeah, so it's about that case, and Joel Edgerton is really good. Ruth Negga, you know her, right? She's from. I mean, you've seen her. She's in Warcraft, and well, you wouldn't know her from that necessarily, but.
Nah.
Oh, she's on Preacher. Have you seen Preacher?
No.
Okay. Well, then you're dead to me.
Well, I will be introduced to her in Loving.
Yeah, exactly. She's very good. It's definitely a film that I recommend checking out. And actually, I had a chance to talk to Jeff Nichols and Joel Edgerton just last week, and this is my second time talking to both. I got to talk to Jeff Nichols about Midnight Special. I talked to Joel Edgerton about The Gift last year.
And he gave you a gift.
He gave me a gift.
That stuck with me because I thought that was so brilliant.
So he gave me a Chicago T-shirt.
Right.
And basically the pro. Now here's actually something interesting because off mic I'd mentioned, it was so cool how you found out something, you got, or the publicist whatever found something out about me, and you got this Chicago shirt. That's crazy. And he was saying how they were doing that during the publicity tour, and one person, get this, they got him the T-shirt from his high school, which has burned down, I guess. So it's hard to track down. But get this person had really negative experiences in high school.
Oh, no.
So it was a traumatic thing to get that. So he was like, oh, crap.
I just thought that was so brilliant. Yeah.
Really clever. So I got to talk to them about making the film, why they chose to do it, and I also got to ask Joel Edgerton about what he plans to do now that The Gift was received so well. So let's go ahead and play that.
So just to start things off, the genesis of this project, where does this come from? It certainly a switch from your last film.
It is in some ways and isn't in others, but the very unexciting answer is that the producers approached me and asked me to consider it. Nancy Bursky, who'd made the documentary The Loving Story that was on HBO, Colin Firth and his partner Jed Doherty, they reached out and just asked if I would watch the documentary. And it didn't take long. Pretty much from the moment it ended, I had my approach, which was to concentrate on the day-to-day lives of the Lovings. And I gave him a call and said, look, this is my interpretation of it. This was kind of on the heels of The Help coming out back in 2012. Had made a boatload of money, and I said, I'm going to make a really slow, really quiet film, and I don't know if it's necessarily going to be the the feel-good experience of the year. And there's potential for someone to make a film like that out of this story. And if you guys really want that, then I'm not the right guy for you. But if you're willing to go this other way, let's keep talking. And that's kind of how it developed. And of course, they said out of the gate, like, absolutely, we want your approach.
So this is your second time working with Jeff.
Yeah.
What drew you to the story? Was it the script? Was it Jeff? Was it both?
It was a whole combination of elements. I mean, I'm like Mike Shannon. I'd probably do anything for Jeff. He's that confident a filmmaker and wonderful guy that, I think his talent and his personability makes him a very easy person to go to work with and for. But then the fact that it was this story, I remember feeling like, when he asked me about it, having that feeling like, are you sure? Like, are you sure that I'm allowed to do this? Because it sounds like it's one of those very rare, important stories that everybody would want to get their hands on. And I watched the documentary and I was very moved by the story, and I was very sort of shocked that I didn't already know about the couple. And I know enough about the timeline of American civil rights to wonder why they seemed absent on that timeline. And, I suspect now, looking back, that really it was because there was no real newsworthiness about that 9-year period of oppression, except for the final Supreme Court case. There was no kind of bloodshed, there was nobody murdered, there was no... so I can understand its lack of newsworthiness has taken it off that timeline, but hopefully this film will put it on there, Yeah. So I was very happy to be asked to go a second round with Jeff, and particularly on a story that I felt is so impossible not to connect to.
In terms of just approaching the subject matter, I mean, I'm struck by the fact that, I mean, obviously this is about real events in a specific time, and yet in many ways it feels very timeless, and it feels like it's just as applicable whether we're talking about interracial marriage or same-sex marriage. I mean, was in your approach to immortalizing the story, did you have an eye towards making something that could in that way speak to our current moment?
Well, in all my films, you try and make something that you hope is universal in its themes. I've talked about that with my other films. And the way that I've approached that in my other films is through specificity. Mm-hmm. Specificity of place, of character, of behavior. The same applies here. The relevance is going to come through the specificity of this relationship. The thing that people didn't like about Richard and Mildred was that they existed. Their existence bothered people. And there is no way for you to argue against your own existence. What do? The only thing you do is continue to exist. And that's what they did. They didn't hold picket signs. They didn't challenge people, only in their day-to-day lives and staying committed to one another and staying married. So it made sense to tell a story about the day-to-day experiences of marriage, because that's where the love is. That's where the commitment is. Those two things are not the same thing, but they're uniquely intertwined. And anybody that's married knows it's not about the times that you tell your wife you love her. It's about the times that you stick there and stay there in times where it's not easy to say you love her. And that's what I felt like would be the best representation of who they really were, because that represents their approach to all of this. But it's very much now like Take Shelter. I mean, I've now made 2 movies about marriage. And it seems like in both, the good parts are all when I got super specific about how the nature of those relationships.
Can you talk about working with Ruth? I mean, you were able to convey a level of intimacy without having to do much. I mean, how did you work together to create that?
Well, it was like that third thing I was talking about. There's me trying to be Richard, her trying to kind of, strive for the authenticity and the divinity of Mildred, and then together, what are we as a couple? And it's that really hard to measure essence of on-screen chemistry, whether you have it or you don't. It's so weird. I know sometimes actors really, really, really love each other, and on screen it's like cardboard. Or the opposite. They might hate each other, and yet there's a kind of a percussiveness and an explosiveness to their chemistry. I think Ruth and I just really, really liked each other and really felt together like we had this secret enjoyment and pleasure at being given the job. Like we were the two kids in class who'd been told we could present an award to somebody or something. Like we were special in some way for being given the task. And I think we, carrying that together, maybe created a nice support that was indicative of what Richard and Mildred endured. Because there's no real constant declarations of love, and there's no sex scenes and none of that kind of typical stuff. But there's a complicitness, a support, a kind of a sharing of duties and a sharing of responsibility. And I mean, really, she's the spine, of the couple. But a dance where they never really let go of each other's hands. And I think that we felt that together with the responsibility. And I admire her so much as an actress. Every now and then you look at other actors and you go, I see what you're doing there. Yeah, I can see. Because we never really share each other's processes. I don't even know. Sometimes you work with someone who's never done a movie before, and you feel like the person who's had 20 years experience working with someone fresh out of the box. And you kind of, sometimes you clock people and you go, I see what you're doing there and I see how that's going to work. And yeah, that's cool. Sometimes you look at people and you go, I have no idea what you're doing. No idea. But it's whatever it is, it's very special. And I think sometimes Ruth, for me, really channeled this sort of qualities in Mildred that I'd seen in the documentary. This real elegance, this sort of almost like a rural princess. That milk and honey voice. And occasionally things would come out of Mildred's mouth that seemed crafted by like a journalist or a writer of some kind, that we might lose the small battles but win the big war. I mean, that's quotable. And it came out of her mouth. Whether she'd heard it from someone else, I'm not sure. But I would look at Ruth and just think it was something very special was going on. And it felt good to be next to that.
I was curious about the decision about where you decide to enter the story, which is with them as a couple and having been a couple, as opposed to starting with them meeting each other and seeing that love blossom. I mean, that was a choice. What was the calculation there?
I love that scene. I think what you look for as a filmmaker and as a storyteller are representational scenes, scenes that in the moment play very honestly, right? Like that behavior in that moment, that makes sense on its own. But it is also representational of everywhere they've been, where they are, and where they're going. They met as children, living across the road from one another. And in my opinion, the horrible version of that introduction scene is you cast two kid actors and they see each other look longingly at one another through a field. Like, that's just fucking garbage. And so I just needed a scene that one would just jump us into the story. Because as soon as I had that opening scene, the details of them getting married in D.C., coming back, living at her parents' house, getting arrested, him hanging the marriage certificate on the wall, them getting arrested, them staying, like all that stuff was very well cited in their own words in several different places. But I just needed that opening scene. And oddly enough, when you watch the documentary, Nancy did not reveal, for whatever reason, that Mildred was pregnant when they got married. And so it took a pretty simple Google search to look at the kids' birth dates and their marriage date and then arrest date to know that she was pregnant when they got married and pregnant when they were arrested, which I found fascinating. It didn't at all kind of decrease my opinion of them as a couple. In fact, it increased my opinion of Richard in a way, because it almost validated his conviction in getting married to her and his idea that this is the right thing to do. This is something to do. And from looking at Richard and looking at him in these photographs and this footage, playing with his kids and the way the kids they would just drape themselves on Richard, and they're laughing in these Gravelet photographs. It seemed like a happy family. And so he struck me as the type of guy that would definitely, because we're all nervous when your wife tells you that news or when your partner tells you that news, but he also struck me as the kind of guy that would be happy about it. Mm-hmm. And that was the key, It's his response. One, she would be nervous. Of course she would be nervous. She's young and having to tell this news. But then his response is what gives you the idea of where they're at as a couple. And I just felt like I was off to the races once I had that idea.
So what's next for you as a writer-director?
I'm working on stuff right now. I'm trying to work out what to make. I'd like, I'm writing this sort of big, based on a true story, kind of crime story. Also sort of working on a science fiction thing. I want to I don't want to repeat myself. The same way as an actor, I kind of like to jump around. I had a great time making The Gift, and I love psychological drama. But I think the takeaway from it was I just loved working with the actors, and I think I'd like to make a drama, more of a specific sort of drama, and throw more actors in there and make a big ensemble thing. But I'm interested in definitely making more movies, and I think hopefully I'll be making something by the end of next year, like the second half of next year. Nice. But I had the best time. I was so relieved. I got to say, I felt like I was doing the right thing along the way. I was making the right moves, But there's one thing to think, okay, I know how to shoot a scene, and okay, that scene works with that scene, but it's a whole thing string together. And do I have the stamina to put it all together and keep a hold of what I want to say? And I was so relieved at how it was received, because it gave me confidence to then go out and do it again. I think there was a lot of smart moves made by the people around me too, in terms of marketing and the great team of producers I had, and how to push it out into the world, because you can't do that alone. But I was so relieved that I wasn't deluded in what I thought I had in the screenplay, and that it had potential to be entertaining and yet also have a bit of something to say. So now I think I want to do it on a slightly bigger scale. I don't want to be that guy who does a $5 million movie and then makes a $100 million movie, because I think that can be a real risk for filmmakers. And I think you see a lot of filmmakers lose confidence by being kind of headlocked by the studio system under the guise that they've been given all this freedom, and yet they're really not. And if that experience doesn't go well, I think it can really damage the path and the trajectory of a really good filmmaker. I think it's nice to, maybe go 5, then 10, then 20, then see how you go on the bigger scale. Work your way out. Yeah. But then, mind you, there's filmmakers who go from 0 to 100 in 3 seconds and make it work. So each their own. Yeah. Cool.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Okay. So again, Loving is in theaters now, so do check that out. And Brian, hopefully next time we record, you'll have seen it.
I hope screeners get mailed soon.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, it is screener season, so mine have already started showing up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, so we have some listener letters here, Brian. I wanted to get through those before we get to headlines.
All right, let's do it.
So this is from Jared. He emailed us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. He says, Zaki, congrats on being verified on Twitter. I don't know if you heard, Brian, but I'm a pretty big wheel at the Twitter factory now.
Nice reference.
Thank you. He says, do I get extra cool points for having followed you before you got the blue check mark? And the answer is no, of course not.
I was going to say, are you going to verify him? His coolness?
In reality, I did not exist before I got the blue check mark.
Yeah.
The blue check mark it's like on Facebook, where it's like, congratulations, you've been friends with so-and-so for 2 years, even though it's like your sister.
Right. Wait, so how does one get verified on Twitter?
So there's like a little form that they ask you to fill out. They send you a thing that says we want more information about you, and they ask you for various things, and they want to see what your sort of public profile is, public persona is. Mm-hmm. So I just sent links to like books that I've co-written and, TV appearances and whatever. And then just like that, next, I woke up one day and it was like the Shoemaker and the Elves. I woke up and there was a little check mark next to my name. And I had like 500 additional followers.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
What is that?
I think it's
like
it's
blue checkmark groupies.
It's dude. Remember Meow Meow Beans? On
yes, Community. Yeah.
That's what this is.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
That's exactly. That's exactly what this is. It's like people are like, oh, he's got a check mark. He must be somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I suppose I'd better follow him. I'm not, folks. I'm not worthy of following just because of my checkmark. I'm worthy of following because of my shining personality.
Yeah, that's right.
Just ask Brian.
Off mic.
Off mic. All right. Next question. Thank you, Jared. Were you saying something?
No, I'm just joking.
Dear movie film boys, this is from Sarah, by the way. She says, I'm assuming you'll be talking about Doctor Strange soon, and that has me wondering, what actors would you like to see in a superhero movie who hasn't been in one yet, and as who? I thought this was an interesting question.
That was a good question.
I feel like, the pickings are pretty slim at this point, because every actor is either in the DC universe or the Marvel universe.
I had that thought during Doctor Strange, and when Rachel McAdams showed up, I was like, they're going to run out of actors.
Take her off the board,
Yeah. But I mean, it's just so many people. I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch is now a cape-wearing superhero.
It's what's interesting is you have actors who, and who'd have seen that coming, by the way? That I guess it was inevitable, but I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of like, oh, I guess we're at a point now where Benedict Cumberbatch is. But I was reading about how what's his name? Gus Fring, from Breaking Bad. What's his name?
Oh, Esposito.
Giancarlo Esposito. Yeah. So they offered him the role of the villain on Luke Cage.
Oh, okay.
And he turned it down, not because he didn't want to do it, but he's like, I want to be a villain. I want to be in one of the Marvel movies. And if I do the show, then I won't be in the movie.
Oh, that's interesting.
So there's like all of this.
And he's right. So
yeah,
holding out.
Yeah. So, but
maybe wisely.
Maybe wisely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think, Brian?
It's kind of interesting because again, I'm trying to think of actresses that I like. And immediately I thought of Brie Larson, and then I realized she already is. Man, they are all gobbled up.
It's funny. I remember a conversation we had on this show a couple of years ago where we were talking about Benedict Cumberbatch, and you're like, he's an interesting actor, but, could he ever play a superhero?
Did I really say that?
About Benedict Cumberbatch, yeah.
How funny.
Yeah.
Who for you?
I don't know. I thought you would go on a little longer, so I had time.
I wish I had prepped for this.
I don't know. I think if we're talking about time machine casting, I would love like Chuck Heston or somebody,
Sure. Yeah.
Or like Paul Newman.
See, it's funny because I'm thinking of quote unquote obvious choices, like someone like John Hamm or something, because he's so dashing and handsome and whatnot. But I'm trying to like subvert that. I'm trying to think who would make like an interesting.
I'd actually like to see Cranston.
I thought that too.
Yeah,
but I don't know as what necessarily. He'd be a great villain.
He would.
He's got that voice.
I would have loved for him to be Commissioner Gordon.
Yes. Yes.
And he voiced Commissioner Gordon for this Batman Year One animated movie a couple of years ago.
Right.
I think J.K. Simmons will be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But
he'll be good.
He'll be fine too. But I would have loved to see Bryan Cranston do something like that.
Yeah. I was like, what did I just watch with J.K. Simmons? It was The Accountant.
Yes, that's
episode 105.
Just one episode ago.
Yeah.
So the answer, Sarah, is we don't know. Thank you for taking the time to ask us.
And in many ways, it doesn't matter because they will all play one eventually.
Exactly. I feel like we'll almost jinx it by saying something right now because like tomorrow in the trades, it'll be like so-and-so has signed to be in such and such. Basically, between Star Wars, Marvel, and DC, every actor is going to be spoken for in terms of franchises.
Right.
You know, that's a coming. One last question here. This is from Leopold87. I don't want to give the email address away, but that was the only name. Leopold87. He says, "Hi, Zaki. I know you're a Walking Dead fan, and I know you were pissed off at the cliffhanger at the end of Season 6. What did you think of the Season 7 premiere? Are you Walking Dead? I always ask you. You don't watch, but you're like aware of it, right?
I'm aware of it, but I don't really watch it.
Are you aware of what happened in the season premiere?
Yes.
So I watched it, and I shouldn't be admitting this right now because my wife and I are like behind.
Oh.
So as far as she knows, I'm like admitting it to the world. So this is dangerous ground. So I'm gambling on her not listening to this show the way she never listens to this show.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's a safe bet.
It's probably a safe bet. So the season, without spoiling anything, the season premiere. The season finale ended with this Negan character who's played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, where he's got a baseball bat wrapped up in barbed wire, and he's like, I'm going to kill one person. And he does this eeny, meeny, miny, mo thing. And then it goes to a POV shot as he beats someone to death.
Mm-hmm.
Credits. And I watched that season finale, and I'm like, F you, you manipulative piece of crap.
Okay.
And we talked about this before.
Yep.
And you were like... Get over yourself.
Well, I was like, TV shows used to have cliffhangers like that, right? I think I probably brought up Who Shot JR.
Yeah, but I mean,
Who
The
Shot
Walking
Mr.
Dead
Burns?
is not Dallas. You know what I mean? As much as I love Dallas, right? It was manipulative in the sense that it like the JR thing or the Who Shot Mr. Burns. It's is he or she dead? Right? That was the question.
Okay, but yeah, you knew the person who it was.
Well, you didn't.
So that's the difference? No, I'm just saying you knew that JR had been shot. It wasn't like a mystery of who was harmed.
Exactly.
It's just a matter of who did it.
So this is somebody who we know for a fact has been killed horribly.
Right.
And now it's like this waiting game of 6 months to find out which of our beloved characters died in this horrible, horrible way.
Right.
Right? So we find out who it is, and it's essentially... stretched out over the course of an hour as these, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is like taunting the characters and I don't know, man, it was like I can't accept credit for this, but somebody coined the phrase misery porn online, and I think that's really apt.
Well, how did that happen? If the last season ended with that moment, how did they build back toward that moment in the returning episode?
That's a good question. So the episode begins a little while later with the main character played by Andrew Lincoln. He's in the midst of fighting off these zombies, and it's like a flashback within that. It's like a nested flashback within that where we find out what happened.
I see.
And not just the way the thread is stretched out, but what's depicted. It's so, I don't know. I mean, it really hit me, and I say this as a fan of the show, but it hit me at that moment. I'm like, what is the end game for this show? And at that moment, I'm like, do I want to keep watching? Because it's like there is no happy ending for sure.
Right.
But is there room for even something that's emotionally satisfying?
And as someone who doesn't watch the show, I wondered, I've seen a lot of people react the way that you are reacting.
Okay.
Right? A lot of people saying they want to give up on the show, and it was like it gave them a moment of pause. Is this something I'm actually enjoying and want to keep moving forward with? And I wondered if it was because what they were doing was they were essentially making a horror movie mixed with like a character drama. And it's like you got to keep the horror going, but at the same point, like horror, part of horror is like the fun of watching awful things happen.
Yes.
But when you mix it with a character drama and you have like all this stuff invested, it's like the show takes glee in some of the horror, but then when it affects it, butts up against the character dramaness of it, then you feel even worse or betrayed on some level or something.
Yes.
So, well, shoot, I should have written a little write-up about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Get my verified check.
Yeah, exactly, right?
No, I'm just kidding.
That's so funny. Yeah, so I mean, in answer to the question, I'm still interested in seeing what happens. So I'm not giving up on the show, but yeah, I just it felt cruel to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this is a show that it's not a nursery school, you know what I mean? So it's built on cruelty, but it's interesting how the bar for cruelty has been raised with each new villain that they create on that show.
Right.
We had John Bernthal in the beginning, and then the governor, I forget the actor who plays him, the British guy. What's his name?
Johnny Spotty? I don't know. I don't know.
Hold on, let me look at his name. It's David Morrissey. That's his name, David Morrissey. And then now, the Negan character. And I'm like, how many people are going to watch this and feel like he's worth emulating? That is the other thing I thought of. How many people are going to wrap barbed wire around baseball bats?
Oh, I see.
Like, how many sociopaths is this show giving birth to? You know. So that's another thing I thought about.
Interesting.
Yeah. But moving on from that, and thank you for that, Leopold. Keep those questions coming, by the way, either at our Facebook page or at our email address. Speaking of Walking Dead, this is a headline here about George Romero, the father of the modern zombie movie, who, Brian, he's not able to make his zombie movies.
That's what I hear. Why is that?
Well, so according to George Romero, he blames The Walking Dead and also World War Z from a couple of years ago for being so successful that they've raised the bar for what people expect from zombie fiction, and they've essentially squeezed out the father of the genre.
Which is understandable in some ways, because he's not going to make a $200 million World War Z type of movie, right? And I think that was part of what he was saying, but he also felt like he was saying that there was no room for him to make his, tell stories that were metaphors through the zombie genre.
Right. I mean, well, if you've seen Night of the Living Dead, I mean, that's a metaphor for racism, and Dawn of the Dead is about consumerism, and Day of the Dead is about having a low budget. I don't know what the point of Day of the Dead was, but I mean, there's always something going on there.
Well, it's interesting because he says, this is the actual quote. He goes, he was trying to do one of his movies, and then he says, then all of a sudden here came Walking Dead, so you couldn't have a zombie film that had any sort of substance.
Interesting.
So, and then he goes, and it had to be a zombie film with zombies wreaking havoc. That's not what I'm about.
Right.
But I mean, I would argue, again, not as an avid watcher of The Walking Dead, that's not necessarily true. I mean, I don't know that the zombie outbreak, or I guess they're not called zombies on the show, but it's not a metaphor necessarily, but I think there is a thought out story happening.
Right.
Right? I mean, it seems a little slight for him to say that. But.
Yeah, well, he's kind of looked down his nose at The Walking Dead previously also.
That's gotta suck for, what's his name? Kirkman?
Yeah, because, I mean, the whole thing is like an homage to George Romero.
Yeah.
You know? And then, of course, World War Z,
Yeah.
When a movie like that makes as much money as it does, suddenly it changes the landscape a little bit.
Yeah, and I thought that movie was fine, but like I understand what he's saying more with the World War Z than I do with The Walking Dead.
And there's a World War Z sequel in the works, and doesn't it feel like they kind of missed the window on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think so.
It does, right? So per George Romero, it's all Brad Pitt's fault.
Yeah.
So him and Angelina Jolie have something in common. Just blaming Brad Pitt.
I'm not going there.
Too soon? Anyway, moving on. The Predator sequel is happening, or reboot.
Yeah, which normally would be like, oh, jeez. But it's actually going to be written and directed by Shane Black.
Which is the one and only single soul solitary reason I'm even remotely interested in this.
100% agree.
All right. So this is called The Predator.
Uh-huh.
And it stars Boyd Holbrook.
Does it now?
Yeah. I love how that name is supposed to mean something to us.
Should it? Am I embarrassing myself right now?
No, I truly. He's from Narcos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I love Narcos, by the way.
But I mean,
yeah.
Didn't we want Arnold Schwarzenegger in this?
Oh, sure.
Like
maybe.
To me, maybe it's just because I was like, you got to get Arnold, and then it's like, no, it's the guy from Narcos. It's like, well,
that's funny because I mean, yeah, he's very much not an Arnold Schwarzenegger type.
Well, and they originally wanted Benicio del Toro, by the way.
Interesting.
And he dropped out. Benicio del Toro drops out of movies a lot. That's kind of his thing.
Well, the thing that got me about Shane Black, about this The Predator, he was saying he wanted to make like a movie that showed us something we hadn't seen before. You know, he was saying like how movies used to feel, and it should be scary, it should be funny, and you know, and he said it should be wondrous was a word he actually used. And it's in a way, I mean, obviously that's a hype man sort of language, but at the same time I'm like, well, that's what I want. Like, sure. I want to see something new and funny and interesting and horrifying and wondrous and whatnot. So I'm curious, since he's such a smart writer and filmmaker, I'm curious what that is from him. And then just today, from the Hollywood Reporter, they said that this movie, The Predator, this is the quote, plunks the alien hunter whom audiences have seen fight in jungles, concrete jungles, frozen wastelands, and alien planets in the harsh environment of suburbia.
Well, so here's my thought on this. Now, this is written and directed by Shane Black, but it's co-written by Fred Decker.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my idea, okay? Nostalgia is huge,
mm-hmm.
right? So Fred Decker's already involved. What you do is you make this a sequel to Fred Decker's famous 80s movie, The Monster Squad.
You know what? I agree with you, because when I heard that, I think I looked in some comments and people were like, suburbs, blah, blah, blah. To me, I was like, yes. Like that's what I want to see, because I've said this a million times. This is what I love seeing. These are my favorite movies. And this is why, you know, growing up in the 80s, all these movies are so great. It's like the world, you know, and then some fantastic element shows up. And so all these fantastic, like E.T. or something is like the classic example. It's like you got these kids on bikes and living in their houses and whatnot, but then like a spaceship arrives, you know, and an alien is there, and, you know, Goonies, they find a pirate ship, but it's in their backyards, you know, like I love those movies. So the Predator character, which I haven't watched all those Alien versus Predator things. To me, those are just sort of, you know, disposable whatevers, and if you enjoy it, great. But like Predator, I love Predator, the first Predator.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see that version that I know of the Predator in my backyard. That's like frightening and kind of exciting, and I think there's a lot of potential in that. So I'm excited about it personally.
You know what? Shane Black gets a lot of buy-in from me.
Yeah. I'm excited about the potential of it. Let's put it that way.
Well, speaking of sequels to long dormant franchises, we've got another potential sequel on the way, and I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on this. I'm talking about The Passion of the Christ 2.
I thought you were going to throw like some sort of like, you know, resurrect heart or something like that. Like,
you kind of expect that, right? I try to mix things up a little bit. Well, now this involves. This is just theoretical at this point. Now, Mel Gibson is out. Of course, he's making the rounds talking about Hacksaw Ridge, right, which I haven't seen yet. I'd hoped to see it, but I missed a screening for it. And he's got this like crazy warlock beard.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've seen him. It's for a movie that he's filming right now, but I'm just like, if this is Mel Gibson's apology tour or whatever it is, maybe don't look like a crazy person, you know?
Right.
But yeah, supposedly this sequel would involve Jesus going to hell.
Is that accurate?
That's what I heard. Yeah,
I saw that headline, but the only thing I saw was the quote. He was on. See, this is one of those things too, where
you don't know if it's a.
What?
No, I mean you don't know if it's a joke or if it's serious.
Oh, well, I mean, it sounds like something that, he's been kicking around. I feel like I've heard this before. But yeah, he was just on Colbert, like you say, promoting Hacksaw Ridge, and he brought it up, and he seems to have like a pretty defined idea of what he wants to do. And, he just said it's more than a single event. It's an amazing event, and he wants to underpin that with the things around it is really the story. So it's very vague.
Well, he talks about visiting other realms, which I take to mean hell.
Oh, I didn't see that part. I only read the quote little thing that was.
I think you have to call it Jesus Goes to Hell. The Passion 2, Jesus Goes to Hell.
You know what? It sounds funny and it's an easy joke to make, but Mel Gibson, I don't know that he's made a bad movie yet. So part of me is curious what he's thinking about.
I suppose. I'm not as big a fan of we talk about misery porn. Like, to me, that was Passion of the Christ.
I was just going to say, it was a one-time viewing experience, and I appreciated the artistry of it and the emotion it was able to wring out of that event. But it was also really, really difficult to watch.
It was extremely,
Yeah, and I'm not up for that again.
I mean, what else will it be? I mean, that's the bar he's set for himself. At first, I don't think he should do it. I think it's a dumb idea.
Yeah.
Because this is not a franchise,
Right. See, and that's
we
the
don't
thing.
want Freddy versus Jesus next. I mean,
See, but I feel like he's not going to make that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I'm curious what his thinking is, I guess. I'm curious what he's got cooked up, because I imagine if he's going to really go out on a limb with it, then he must have something, an idea there.
Well, I'm sure we'll know before long. He'll be blaming the Jews for something. So,
well, let's hope not, or we'll never see this movie.
We'll never see it. Okay, yet another sequel that nobody's asking for, Brian.
Yeah,
yet another one. Now, did you watch The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo 4 years ago when it came out? 5 years ago?
I did. I saw both versions, actually.
That's right. It was the successful Swedish version.
Yes.
And then the substantially less successful American version.
Right.
Which was meant to kickstart a franchise. That did not happen. Now, I do find it somewhat ironic that like a week after Sony releases Inferno, which utterly dies, they're like, hey, what other dormant, dead franchises can we squeeze some life? Sony's having a bad year.
They only got what they got. And they got to keep trying to make what they got work.
The cupboard is increasingly bare, and so this the original plan was to take the other two Stig Larsson books, I forget their titles, and adapt those. But now the plan is to adapt The Girl in the Spider's Web, which is not written by the original author.
Or was that like a half-written manuscript and then someone completed it? I feel like might be the case.
I'm not entirely familiar with it, to be honest.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not part of that original trilogy, though, regardless.
Seems... maybe that's smart. I don't know. I mean, it feels like if you made a sequel to the first one, it probably wouldn't connect. Like maybe fans of that first film would probably hope, so maybe it's smarter to just sort of start over again, I guess, if you're going to do it at all.
I think that... At least for me, I have not seen the Swedish films, but I watched the American one, the David Fincher one, and I'm like, all right, I'm good, thank you. I never need to revisit this character ever again.
Yeah, I agree with that. I wasn't very taken with either. I thought the Swedish one, I got it. It was a competently made, again, the sort of noir sort of thing. But I was like, okay. Like, they didn't captivate my imagination like they did for so many other people. Then again, I think the people that were really into it, a lot of them, it was because of the books.
Sure.
So I don't know.
This is Robert Langdon all over again.
Yeah.
There's
But
just
Rooney
no
Mara,
yeah.
she's expressed interest in doing this.
Yeah, but Rooney Mara is now in her 30s, mid-30s, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she may have aged out of this role.
That's possible. I just thought, after that one underperformed, then again, maybe she was like, hey, I'd like to work with David Fincher again. Maybe that's the code, what she was really saying.
Although Rooney Mara has not really, her career has not really taken off either.
It hasn't, but I don't feel like she's like sputtered out or anything.
Yeah,
She keeps
she's not
popping
like
up
parking
in things
cars, but...
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the dragon tattoo was sort of positioning her as the next big thing.
Right.
I mean, but then again, we've been around long enough. I mean, how many next big things have we,
Yeah.
Remember when Gretchen Mol was supposed to be the next big thing?
She's like the prime example of that, right? Where everyone's
Isn't that sad?
Yeah, it kind of is. Even though she did a good job years later on Boardwalk Empire. That was her proving that it's like, no, I really can do this. Like, I am a good actress, but
come on, I'm on HBO. HBO!
Yeah, right.
All right, well, anyway, so that may or may not happen. Sony, folks, if you're listening, and I expect that you are listening, don't make this movie. You're going to lose money on it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you
Probably.
right now, I don't care if you spend $50 million or $5 million, you will lose money on it. Don't make it.
Yeah.
One movie that they will most definitely not lose money on, this is Fox I'm talking about, is Deadpool 2, the sequel to Deadpool, which has lost its director, Brian. Now, this is kind of interesting. They lost the director and the composer. Junkie XL has also left the aborting Deadpool sequel.
Yeah, and Tim Miller has been with the original, this was like a passion project, obviously, for Ryan Reynolds, but Tim Miller has been there just as long. It was like him and Ryan Reynolds together.
Yep. They were like they were handcuffed together,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was sort of surprising, and I don't think there's any official reason why, but it seems they had just different opinions on what the sequel should be like. Apparently, again, this is all speculative, allegedly, but Tim Miller wanted to triple the budget and make like a big superhero movie, but Ryan Reynolds wanted to keep it compact and scrappy like the original.
Now, I want you to do a little autopsy here, just given your insight, not into this particular situation, but obviously working in the industry. Is there more to this, or does that sound about right to you?
I think that sounds about right. I was even surprised at that sort of... Actually, why am I surprised? Of course this stuff gets out. But that sounds pretty... I believe that. I could see a director... Because, that was one of those stories that came out of the original was there's a big joke at the end where he's got all these guns and there's going to be a huge gunfight, and then he realizes he left his guns in the taxi. Right. Which is hilarious. But the reason they did that was because they couldn't afford the fight that they wanted. And so they, made the most out of having this small budget and got a great joke out of it. I'm sure Tim Miller, as a director, he wants to show off a little bit, and he wants to make a bigger movie because now he can afford to do that. But I can understand Ryan Reynolds realizing what worked, and it's really not necessarily about the big explosions. It's about him, and about the character interacting with people and having these smaller, crazy violent Bugs Bunny action things. You know what I mean? Like that, like the opening in the car where it's basically just him comically beating up a bunch of people. Yeah. So that sounds to me it adds up. What do you?
If you're Fox, and number one, who's indispensable? Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
And if Ryan Reynolds is the one who's saying, "Hey, let's keep the budget down," well, then it's a no-brainer that's who the studio is going to come down on the side of.
Sure. And I guess Tim Miller, I don't have it in front of me, but he's already on something else now.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
I thought it was so maybe it's just he's attached to something, but there was some other Fox thing that he was going to do that was like a big sci-fi movie. And
that's right.
Well, there you go. That's probably what
he's
wants to
producing Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, okay. And I was going to say, you can't blame him. It's not like someone's wrong. It's just creative differences. And I think Ryan Reynolds is probably what he's going for, as far as we understand it, is a little truer to maybe what this character is and why it worked so well the first time. But I don't necessarily blame Tim Miller for wanting to go bigger. I get it. But
if you're Fox, though, the first movie cost $58 million. And by the way, this is worth point. I should mention this. When we were talking about this movie like a while ago, you and I were both like, you know what? Movie like this, if it makes $75 million, Fox should be happy and consider that a win.
Mm-hmm.
And it made $365 million domestically.
Domestic, that's insane.
So we were off by a few $100 million.
Yeah.
In terms of how much it would do. But I mean, $58 million, I mean, this is all upside for Fox.
Yeah.
So if you can make even half that and still spend right around what you spent for the first one, why would you not do that? That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You know?
So, yeah, you wonder. So it makes sense if they have different visions why they would part ways, but you wonder how amicable it was.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always amicable, except it's never amicable.
Right.
Right? If they were amicable, then they would still be working together.
Touche.
You know? So that's, anyway, the Deadpool 2, I don't think it's been dated yet, has it? Do they have a release date for it? I would assume in 2018, I would assume.
18 sometime.
Yeah.
Probably Marchy.
Well, before we get to the main event, Brian, any Star Wars news?
Ooh, yeah. As always, right?
Let's play the music.
Well, big news is, I mean, okay, so we've got this. It's starting to like branch out and become complicated here. Which Star Wars film are we talking about? Right?
We're talking about the universe.
Yeah, Star Wars universe. So you got the Saga series, so that'll be coming out next year. We got Rogue One coming out this Christmas, 2016. But then we've got the Han Solo film, which we haven't heard a ton about, but now we're starting to hear more and more. And one of the biggest news involving that is that they've cast Lando Calrissian. I think most people wondered if he would be in it. Now we have no doubts. Yeah. And it is being played, speaking of Community from earlier, it's going to be played by Donald Glover.
Which is, I mean, when we first heard rumors of this, I think you and I were both like, well, duh, who else could it be?
Yeah, I had a couple people I know go, huh? And I was like, no, like, this is obvious to me. Like, it just seems so obvious.
Right.
I don't know. Like, I can just see, but we've seen him do a lot of things, I guess. Right? I mean, we're fans of his.
So, I mean, you and I both discovered Donald Glover at the same time.
Uh-huh.
Which is about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
He was in this movie. Folks, if you haven't seen this, go to YouTube, punch in Jerry Poops His Pants.
Yeah.
Jerry Poops His Pants. And this is a video starring Donald Glover as his character named Jerry, who goes to class one day, and he poops his pants.
I kid you not, that our good pal Sean Coyle used to be a co-host on here. I used to be roommates with him. I saw this late at night. I laughed so hard I cried. See, now I'm ruining it because I'm building it up. But I went and got Sean out of bed. He was asleep. And I woke him up. And I brought him into my room. And I said, watch this. And he didn't even get mad. He just choked with laughter. And we still talk about that. I can't believe I was so compelled to wake him up. And then after that is when he went on to Community. So we already thought he was hysterical. But anyway, yeah, I can totally see him. Because, I mean, and he's on the show Atlanta now on FX.
Right, which I'm hearing great things about.
Yeah, and he's getting to, like, stretch his range a little bit. So I totally get it. I think we're on the same page with this.
It's great casting.
Yeah.
I can easily, you know, I mean, really, Alden Ehrenreich is the big question mark.
Totally.
Until we see him in costume or something. But couldn't you totally see a series of Han and Lando movies?
Yeah. Yeah, like sort of like a buddy series.
Like a Lethal Weapon type thing.
Totally. And it's interesting because I'm going to have to learn his name eventually. Was it Alden?
Ehrenreich.
I guess he was talking about, you know, what they have coming up and when he was deciding if he wanted to do it or not, which is always funny to me because you have all these, you know, who wouldn't want to play Han Solo? You know what I mean? Like the thousands and thousands and thousands of actors who probably were dying for that role. And he's like, well, when I had to be convinced, you know what I mean?
Right.
Thing. But he was just saying, you know, that it's describing the film that it's complex, it's layered, it's smart, it's visual, it's funny, it's uneasy, it's unexpected. And again, I mean, it sounds like hype man dialogue, but it really gets you you want to believe. You want to believe that you're going to see something familiar, but that also feels different and exciting and fresh. And, Phil Lord and Chris Miller have done some really interesting things so far. And to hear him, who seems like he needed convincing, and that's, what he says about it, and he chose to do it. It's like, yeah, you really hope that we're going to see something and be really surprised by it.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed on that.
Yeah.
So that's our Star Wars news for this week.
Kaboom.
Shall we talk about our big spoiler movie?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, of course, we're talking about Doctor Strange, and that is opening right now. So we can't tell you how well it's done because, we just don't know. Well, actually, that's not true because it did open internationally where it's already made quite a bit of money already. Let me see.
Not surprising.
Yeah, it's already made $86 million internationally, having opened a week ago.
Oh, right.
Internationally. So generally speaking, these Marvel Studios movies open outside of the U.S. 1 to 2 weeks before.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason. I'm not sure why, to be honest.
I don't either.
I think if I were to guess, it would be about cutting down on piracy.
It's interesting because I thought most piracy came from overseas.
Yeah, so by releasing it officially overseas, people are more likely to pay to go see it in the theater.
Oh, I see.
As opposed to buying a cheap copy on the street.
Got it.
Right. I'm just guessing. That's my theory, but I think that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But, so I saw it 2 days ago. You just saw it. Do we want to give our non-spoiler takes?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, Brian,
I'm
hit
curious. Me. Oh, me? Oh, okay. So I saw it at this theater where they announced the film. Someone comes up and says, what we're seeing, who it's starring, how long it runs. And he went up there and he goes, tonight we're going to see Doctor Strange. And I looked over at my brother and I go, or they could just call it Marvel Movie 23. And I'll admit, I kind of saw this out of obligation.
Okay.
I'll go see every Marvel movie that comes out because I'm keeping up with the story and I do enjoy them, but I don't even really look forward to them anymore. Like I just oh, cool. Yeah. I'll see that when it comes out, Yeah. And so I went into this one like that. I knew very little about this character. I knew it sort of looked like a Inception, the action film from the trailers. And when it was all done, credits were rolling, I was like, that was great. I really liked it. And the reason is, we'll get into it more, what I loved and what I thought was just okay and whatnot. But what I really liked about it was it reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy in that it was a Marvel film, but it felt like its own thing.
Sure.
Right? So I think that's why I'm having my Marvel weariness is I feel like I'm watching the same film. They just keep rotating who the lead is.
Sure.
And they're still entertaining and they're still fun and whatever, but I rarely go back and revisit them because I don't need to because I can see it again next summer. And I really enjoyed this because I felt like in terms of, obviously it's an origin story, so it's familiar, but at the same time, it didn't feel like the other origin stories. I thought this felt like The Matrix meets Inception was sort of my takeaway for it. But it just looked different. It sounded different. The action was different. And I had a great time with it.
Wow. So big thumbs up from you?
Yeah. I mean, and that's another thing too. We were real quick. I just want to add for my thing. And then I want to hear what you have to say. A mutual friend of ours on Facebook was saying, about the show Westworld, how do they get all these like major actors to be in this show? Like Anthony Hopkins and James Marsden, all sorts of people. And I wrote as a reply, I said, well, I think a lot of actors are looking for something that's really challenging and will stretch them. And basically the only choice they have in films is to, stare at a blue beam in the sky. Right. And so they look to TV.
TM Brian Hall.
Yeah. Well, but and I think this movie is obviously one of those big CG laden action movies that are just flooding the theaters and like basically all we can expect now week to week. But of those films, I thought this was one of the better ones.
Yeah, well, and this is the 6th superhero movie this year,
Wow.
and I would put this as my second favorite superhero movie of the year
Behind.
after Civil War.
Interesting. I think I liked it better than Civil War.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so real quick, let me give my non-spoiler take. I've said this before, and I don't think this will be a huge surprise to anyone listening. It's a big thumbs up from me. I'm an easy lay for a Marvel Studios movie. It's they, as far as I'm concerned, they have yet to produce an outright turkey.
Sure. Oh, for sure.
You know, and
Yeah.
and I'm constantly awed by their ability to be so consistently qualitative.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with this film, it follows the basic tropes, the superhero origin tropes, but I think it mixes it up to a degree where it is interesting. I think visually it does some really clever stuff that we haven't seen within this universe, certainly. And I think the performances are rock solid from stem to stern. Mm-hmm. You know, I think up until this moment, notwithstanding Sherlock, I questioned whether Benedict Cumberbatch is a star.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first time I've seen him in a movie role where he just won me over.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that being said, he's basically playing Robert Downey, playing Doctor Strange.
Sure.
But I think it works. I think it works for the character.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it that much. Do we want to get into spoilers?
Sure.
All right, let's do the countdown.
Spoilers.
Okay, so, my general thoughts on these. What I most love about these Marvel movies is I'm watching the comic book come to life.
See, I had questions for you about this because I know very little about this character, and my brother was saying, do you think Inception got this from Doctor Strange, or did Doctor Strange get this from Inception? And I don't know. I wanted to ask you.
So in the film,
and I do want to follow that up a little bit later because I don't think this is an Inception ripoff. That's not what I'm getting at. But,
right.
Yeah.
Well, so in the film we have this whole mirror dimension. Mm-hmm. Within which by the way, I love the fact that they've essentially constructed an in-movie reason to have destruction on a mass scale that has no effect on anything.
Yeah.
Right? Within the mirror universe or mirror dimension, we can do anything, but it has no effect. That's a construct of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
That is not from the comics.
Like flipping New York on itself.
Exactly.
Okay.
But what a great visual.
You know, they I again, going back to The Matrix, I said to my brother, it reminded me, like when The Matrix came out and they had the flying kung fu sort of stuff, and then for the next 10 years, like every movie that had action in it had people doing flying kung fu, even if it made no sense for them. Because in The Matrix, it made sense. They were in a computer. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I said, it reminds me of that with the Inception visuals, but in a good way. Whereas, okay, so Inception sort of coined this phrase, let's put it, visual phrase. You know, it's okay to see it again as long as you push it. And you push it and pull it in other directions as well and try new things with it. And I feel like this movie did that really, really well. I mean, in particular, that whole sequence toward the end where everything's going in reverse.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you had them moving in normal forward time, but then you have all the destruction of an action scene going backwards. And I was like, that's just nuts. Like, right. It looked so good.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think that I kept waiting for the ending to get so over the top that I lost interest.
And you didn't?
And I didn't.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
And going along with that, so what I was enjoying was because what I was saying earlier, I love seeing the fantastical in the real world. Yeah. And that's what we were seeing here. But then all of a sudden you have him going into, is it the astral plane? Is that where he was? Where he's on basically like that other planet facing down?
The dark dimension.
the dark dimension.
Yeah.
Right. And all of a sudden it became a lot of CGI and, you know, this creature blowing CGI stuff at him and him stopping it with CGI. And I was thinking like, oh no, like you had me. Why I don't want to like have my eyes gloss over with it.
Totally.
But I didn't. And
because it was clever. Because
it was clever.
Yeah.
And it was a good story. His character changed. And like he does this whole Groundhog Day thing where he keeps dying over and over so Earth can live, you know, at the mercy of this dark being. And I was totally on board with that, and I was totally moved by it. And I loved seeing him it was sort of like the Inigo Montoya thing. Right? Where he just keeps repeating the phrase like, screw you, like I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And it worked on a story level, and that's why I didn't care at all that. And also along with that, like all the CGI visuals, which are just, there's a lot of them. I mean, even when he first goes out of his body and Tilda Swinton's character is throwing him through the 2001 light show.
Yeah.
It looks so cool.
Yeah.
It could have just looked like blurry color noise.
Did you see it in 3D?
No, I was regretting it actually halfway through.
Yeah, I mean, I did, and I think this one definitely it adds extra. I mean, it's not indispensable, but it adds a fun element to it.
It could have had half the creativity visually, and it still would have been like, oh, nice, that's pretty cool. But I feel like Scott Derrickson, I mean, he just like went for it, and he had something in his head, and I thought it showed.
Well, and that's kind of the interesting thing, right? Because one of the dings against these films is, oh my gosh, they're so formulaic, and you're pretty much, you know what you're expecting. And I'm like, you know, when we look at the last like 5 of these things, we've got Civil War, we've got Ant-Man, you've got Guardians of the Galaxy,
mm-hmm.
You know, you got Winter Soldier. I mean, they're very different films.
Yeah.
You're not going to confuse one with the other. So, I mean, I take umbrage a little bit at that characterization because, you know, there's a framework in place, yet there's so much room to move within that framework.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the past few years they've really stepped it up in making sure that the films feel more diverse.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you talked about Tilda Swinton. How good was she? So
good. She could have been a really flat sort of like, I understand she's the mentor, so she's got to behave a certain way. But she had dimensions to her.
She did, and I was surprised how moved I was when she dies.
Yeah. I completely agree. I thought that was a really touching moment.
When they're standing on the balcony.
Yeah, she had humor to her. She had a seriousness to her. I think sometimes a lot, you know, when you have this mentor character, it's like they have to be humorless. Sometimes people feel, but
I don't know if you're aware, there was a little bit of controversy around her casting. Because the ancient one in the comics is an old Asian man.
Mm-hmm. And
people are like, why would you cast a young British woman?
Right.
Who's not, you know, Asian. And I'm not even going to get into that, but I think that her presence in the film, partially it's because Tilda Swinton is so sort of ethereal anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Just that's like her mystique, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a vulnerability that she has that makes her more interesting.
Right.
And connected to that, by the way, Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was actually thinking about this because somebody was like, oh, Mads Mikkelsen, who plays the villain of the piece, and I don't remember his name.
Yeah.
Calliope, something, you know?
Yeah.
He's kind of wasted. And that's not wrong. I think that he's just he's there and he's fine. Like, it's, you know, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But if we think of Baron Mordo as the real villain of the piece,
sure.
Then to me it's like he gets a lot of development, you know?
Yeah. It is funny though, because as the credits were rolling, I mean, because we're behind the spoiler wall. It's funny. I feel like hesitant to speak spoilers, but we're here.
Yeah.
It's funny because what you find out is that Tilda Swinton's character has been tapping into the darkness a little bit to sustain, you know, her her age and her powers and whatnot. And so it becomes this murky thing where they were taught, stay away from the darkness. It's no place to meddle. But then you find out that their leader, their mentor, was doing that herself. And so Ejiofor's character feels sort of betrayed by it.
Right.
And he, at the end, Doctor Strange is like, well, maybe we can blend them. Maybe it can work. And Ejiofor's character is like, no. And he walks off. And it's funny because during the credits, my brother and I were talking about it, saying like, well, it's kind of interesting. And in some ways we sort of respect it. He's like, I can't understand. I can't do that. This is how I believe it and whatnot. And so he stands his ground and walks off. So he won't do the same thing that Strange is doing, bending the rules per se. Yeah. And we're like, oh, that's interesting. And like, yeah, I guess I kind of respect that. And then it's funny because then after the credits, it's like, oh, no, turned him evil. And we looked at each other immediately and laughed. We're like, oh, well, okay.
Well, it's kind of interesting. Like, I mean, it's actually very similar to the Green Lantern movie in that you have the ally. He's presented as an ally throughout the film, and then the post-credit scene shows him become a villain.
Green Lantern?
Yeah, I don't know if you remember the Green Lantern movie. It was a while ago, admittedly.
It was. Wait, who was?
So Mark Strong is Sinestro.
Yeah.
And if Sinestro isn't a dead giveaway,
Man, I forgot about half that movie.
Yeah,
yes.
most people have blocked. Ryan Reynolds has blocked that out of his memory.
Yeah.
Well, this Doctor Strange is like right way, wrong way of the Green Lantern movie because they're so similar.
Yeah.
But I think the difference here is that they if you've read the comics, you know that Mordo is Doctor Strange's arch enemy.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I know nothing about this character.
So that's actually I was going to ask you about that. Like, did that feel more impactful by virtue of seeing him go from sort of ally to villain?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a surprise to me, and I was disappointed by it.
Yeah,
and not like let down by the film, but in terms of the story,
because you like him, because you can't help but like him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think in that sense, they spent this whole movie seeding the villain for the next movie.
Right.
What did you think of Benedict Cumberbatch?
I thought he was great. I mean, he fit that role, right?
Did he have a Gerard Butler-esque American accent?
You know what? No, not for me. Did he for you?
No, he didn't. I was impressed by his ability to force his trademark voice into this American box.
Yeah. I think I thought of it at the very beginning, just because I know what his voice sounds like, and then I just completely stopped thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I if there is one qualm with his arc, I feel like we kind of missed the middle.
Yep. I've had this conversation in the car already. Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah. I felt... Yes. No, you go ahead. You say it. You were going to say the same.
Well, we start out with the film with Stephen Strange as an arrogant asshole.
Yes.
And then we end the film with Stephen Strange as a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we don't get the moment where he sees the error of his ways, or there's that, I don't know, the character. So I almost feel like we need to fill in. So he's in this car. He's this neurosurgeon who's like super gifted, and he's rightly a jerk because he's so gifted.
Or cocky, let's say. Rightly cocky.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like he's cocky, but you can't fault him for it because he's so good at what he does.
Right.
Right? And then he's in this car accident that just messes his hands up.
Mm-hmm.
No surgery will do it. So he seeks out, mystical means, and that's how he ends up heading to Nepal, and he starts learning mysticism. So, and we find out he's like super good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sees that, this bad guy, Mads Mikkelsen's character, is doing some stuff, so now we have to fight him.
Mm-hmm.
But we miss sort of the piece in the middle where he shifts from, it's not about me, it's about the world.
There is a moment, though, to be fair, even though I feel like it could have been more impactful, where at the beginning he's telling the Rachel McAdams character that people don't matter.
Yeah.
right? Where he's saying we're just like a speck of dust that, blah, blah, blah. And then later the villain says that to him. And he
You're
feels
right.
differently about it. And I did like, I remember that because I liked that moment. I liked the change, but I agree with you that I don't feel like we visually saw the moment. Like there was like the philosophical thing, and he had the little twitch in his eyebrow, like, oh, I used to say that, and I guess I sounded like a dick, But I feel like there could have been something. It was missing like one little scene or something of the turn. I agree with you. I was feeling that too because I felt like the story.
Like it's not a deal breaker.
No, not at all. Not at all. I this is like probably my favorite popcorn movie of the year so far.
Wow. High praise.
Yeah, I really liked it. And I think there were some things I wish had a little more polish on them, like something like that. But I feel so impressed that a movie with this much scope and size and visual effects really didn't drown in those things, but they supported the story, in my opinion, successfully.
You know what's amazing to me is that you have a movie like this where you can feel a sense of kinship with a piece of cloth.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm talking about his cloak of levitation. That's essentially a character. It's his sidekick. Mm-hmm. And it's like Aladdin's carpet.
That is such a good comparison. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, when it wipes his tears away.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was really funny.
I remember hearing about how Peyton Reed got complaints from parents who were upset that Ant-Man's pet ant dies.
Right.
So, in other words, they made you care about an ant.
Yeah, right.
Well, here they make you care about a cape.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's again, it's like people hit these movies for being formulaic or whatever. I'm like, whatever they're doing is working.
Right.
So, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That was such a great moment when he's first using the cape, really, and he wants to go toward that axe as a weapon, but the cape's pulling him in the other direction.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know. I think we get sort of, oh yeah, that movie was okay, or I feel like I've been saying that a lot. I was thinking about this actually before the podcast. I think
you've been aging right on mic, basically.
I guess, or I keep saying, yeah, if it's on TNT someday. Yeah, I've been saying that so much, but this one I felt like was worth my bucks.
Yeah, this
was worth a trip to the big screen and plunking down some coin for, because you're going to see some really impressive things, and it's an origin story. We've seen the origin story before, but I think little details like we're saying notwithstanding, it's an engaging origin story, and I was very satisfied by this movie.
Well, and now in the past when we talked about Ant-Man, which you also enjoyed, by the way, I remember you said that something that took you out of it were the ways in which it was tied into the larger Marvel universe.
Right.
Now this one had a few tie-ins. A, did you notice them? And B, were they distracting?
No. Someone did mention the Avengers at one point.
Yeah.
And I think it was one of those like, oh yeah,
them.
Yeah, because even when I say that this, comparing it to Guardians and it feeling different, I mean, it even looked different. Like and I mean this in the best possible way. I like the way this movie looked. I was surprised this movie wasn't shot on film, because it looked like film to me.
Wow.
And normally I can tell, and it bothers me. And I mean, I assumed it was digital, but they smoked out rooms, like added atmosphere, which people don't do so much these days. So a lot of digital movies have this sort of flat, like the visuals can look pretty and they can look nice, but they still have this sort of flat quality to them.
Sure.
But I thought this movie looked like an older film. They had a little more depth and dimension to the visuals of it. Mm-hmm. And I was really impressed by that. And even at the very end, when he gets his little hero pose by that window, I was like, honestly, immediately it made me think of the end of *89 Batman.
Nice.
I was like, that's a striking image right there. I mean, you can do that, and you can see that, like Thor can hold his hammer and lightning can, whatever. And it's like, yeah, that looks cool. but it still looks a little flat or whatever. But just the lighting and the composition, everything, I was like, that's a striking image. Like, I was really impressed with
And there's no substitute for the iconography of a cape, of a silhouetted cape.
Absolutely.
I think there was one tie-in. So there were 3 tie-ins to the Marvel universe that I picked up on.
Sorry, I went off.
And one is the character Wong mentions. The Avengers protect the world, but we protect the spirit world or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, at the end we find out that the amulet, the Eye of Agamotto, that's another one of the Infinity Stones. That's another big one. But in the beginning, I thought this was pretty... In terms of when this is situated in the timeline, when he's in his car and he gets those phone calls, and he's like, what do you have for me? Like cases to take on. The one case that's offered to him that he rejects is a lieutenant colonel whose spine is crushed while wearing some armor.
I did not even pick up on that.
Which is, that's Rhodey in Civil War.
I think I wasn't listening close enough. I was just sort of like, they're saying medical stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and I just thought the reason I found that interesting was it helps let us know exactly when this takes place, which is after the events of Civil War.
Right.
So, but also of interest, this is my nerd radar. If you remember, in The Winter Soldier, they mention Stephen Strange.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, so it's if you watch that movie again, it's the guy, the SHIELD agent, the bald guy, what I'm talking about? Where they like drag him up on the roof. And he's like, we can watch everybody, Bruce Banner, Stephen Strange, and he lists other people. And that was the first time they ever mentioned Stephen Strange. So it's kind of interesting that. So in other words, my point is he's already renowned for being a surgeon. Then I guess if he becomes a superhero in this one,
yeah.
But I love all the connectivity. But I like the fact that in this it's subtle enough that it's there if you're aware of it, but it's not hitting you over the head with it.
Yeah.
I think I've said before, I mean, the Marvel movies I tend to like the most are the ones that are now moving into these sort of second and third tier characters and seeing what we do with them. I was delighted by how much I loved Ant-Man. And I fully expect that my kids will like this one just as much as they do like Ant-Man. I think it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, and there's humor in it, like it doesn't take as many, there's not like Avengers had a lot of wisecracks because of, Joss Whedon writing it and whatnot, but this one every now and then it would go stretches without it, but then they would just sort of drop something in there and I think for that reason it almost made it even funnier, because he's such a self-serious guy. Yeah. But then he would, crack wise a little bit or someone would make a joke about him and it just was funny. Yeah. The relationships really work. I'm looking forward to seeing Benedict Wong come back as Wong. Yeah, he was great. I think interesting character. I mean, what could have been a stereotype, the Asian manservant. He becomes much more proactive and gets a lot more to do. So yeah, he has a great humorous moment toward the end. He does, right? Exactly. Yeah. And of course, speaking of future movies, I'm assuming we'll be seeing Doctor Strange in Thor Ragnarok. It looks that way, according to the credits. The mid-credit sequence, and then he's for sure in the next Avengers movie. Right. So Doctor Strange is not going anywhere. And if I were to guess, by the way, I'm curious if this will pan out. I think they are positioning him to kind of take the Tony Stark role as Robert Downey sort of transitions out. I'm just guessing. Wonder how they're going to explain that. Well, I don't think it'll be like, I'm leaving now, see ya, like like when Anthony Edwards leaves, ER or whatever. Yeah. I think it'll just be, we don't hear from Tony Stark for a little while, Yeah. And then when we see him again, he looks like Boyd Holbrook or whatever, Yeah. But we shall see. Well, that's Doctor Strange. Any last thoughts on this? No, I thought it was a lot of fun, and I think people are going to have a lot of fun with it. Big thumbs up from myself and Brian. Wow, look at that. I did not see this coming, by the way.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised, I gotta be honest.
Yeah. With me or just in general?
With you, I thought it would be one of those things where I'm like, and then he did this, and then the building fell, and you're like, whatever, nerd.
I completely expected to feel that way, honestly. I thought it was just going to be like it's a VFX reel, with Benedict Cumberbatch in it, but no, it's a good movie.
Well, there we go. And that's a good place to wrap up this conversation. But before we do, Brian, anything you want to hype up for the audience?
No.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah. No, I just, every week I work on Bob's Burgers, and that's still going strong. Got a couple more episodes coming up the pike here, and then also write for the comic book, which has just gone on a bit of a hiatus, actually, but you can always find back issues that I have written, and all the others in between have been written by very talented people who also work on the show.
Well, there we go. If you love Brian, you should watch Bob's Burgers.
And even if you don't, you'll probably still enjoy it.
Yeah, even if you don't love Brian.
It's a great show. It's one of those shows where it's really exciting to be working on it when you feel like, wow, this is... It's when I started there, a lot of people didn't know what it was, and just to see the fandom really just blow up while I've been there, and to see the show completely not only sustain but increase in quality, it's just been a really exciting thing to be a part of. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, as far as me, if you want to see what I'm up to, you can, of course, follow me on my Twitter account. That's at Zaki's Corner, ZAKIS Corner. That's also my Instagram handle, and that's also my website, justadded.com. You can also see my reviews at the Huffington Post, as well as the movie film show at the Huffington Post and the Nostalgia Theater show. So lots of stuff there. And if you have any thoughts or suggestions or anything else, email us, moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast. And please go to iTunes and leave us a review. Leave us a star rating. Every little bit helps. So if you enjoy what we're doing, I hope you do, let people know. If you don't enjoy what we're doing, then don't go to iTunes and tell people that, because you're just being a jerk. If you don't like what we're doing, keep it to yourself and go find another podcast that you do like. Don't be a sociopath, is what I'm saying. But if you do like it, by all means, write us a review. And, oh man, there was something else that I wanted to remind people about. I can't remember.
Writing?
Oh, our next episode.
Oh.
Our next episode.
That makes
Brian,
sense.
Yes, well, we've got lots to talk about. We've got The Arrival coming.
Yeah.
That's the new Denis Villeneuve movie.
Yep, seeing that next week.
And Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
All right.
So that's so you and I are both going to suck it up and talk about that one, Brian.
Yeah, it sounds terrible, because I'm sure there's like millions and millions of people looking forward to it.
Yes.
It's one of those things where I don't think it looks bad at all. Actually, I saw the latest trailer for it, and I was like, oh, this looks really impressive.
Sure.
But there's just not something, there's no hook for me.
Yeah,
so
well,
I guess
either.
that'll be interesting to see what our take is on it.
Me either. Yeah, our conversation, it's going to be like two 50-year-old men talking about Pretty Little Liars, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be interesting in kind of a train wreck way, so you'll have to listen to find out.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
But with that, on behalf of Brian Hall, my name is Zaki Hassan. This is Movie Film 106 in the can. We'll see you next time in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening.
Welcome, friends.